In the wake of Parliament's spirited debate over what the Constitution means, the government and the opposition are grappling with each other, quite literally, in fact, in the name of B.R. Ambedkar. At the center of the row is Union Home Minister Amit Shah's remarks, in which he referred to B.R. Ambedkar and mocked what he suggested was Congress's lip service to Baba Saheb. So, what he said, and loosely translated, is that there is this, it has become fashionable for the Congress to repeat Ambedkar, Ambedkar, and if the opposition had taken God's name so often, they would have reached heaven. So, this has given enough ammunition now to the opposition to target the government for what they call an anti Dalit mindset. It gives them an opportunity to reinforce their newfound sort of social justice plank. I'm now joined by Mr. Kancha Ilaiah, who is a Dalit rights activist and an author here on the program. Thank you, Mr. Kancha Ilaiah, for joining us. Thanks very much for giving
Thank you
us.
very much for having me here.
Thank you, sir. I want to ask you, the reality is in more than 30 years of his public life, B.R. Ambedkar contested the ideas and actions of almost every major political stream of his times, including the Congress and the Jan Sangh and the Mahasabha. The Congress's ideology actually clashed with him a number of times, a number of occasions, and as is the fact that the BJP also, in terms of the Hindu Code Bill, pushed Ambedkar to resign from the Nehru cabinet. All of that is part of history. In the light of this, would you concede, Mr. Ilaiah, that much of what you see today is kind of rhetoric, and history doesn't bear out either side when it comes to displaying their loyalty or their allegiance to Baba Saheb Ambedkar?
Well, you know, Amit Shah's statement in the parliament
Hmm.
that why do you take the name of Ambedkar so many times?
Hmm.
Instead, if you were to take the name of God, you would have gone 7 generations into heaven. Now, this is not a statement just made out of slip of tongue or anything. It has been a long strategy of RSS and the internal core ideological forces of BJP that Ambedkar is emerging a much stronger spiritual leader in the country. He is not just constitution writer or political thinker or legal pundit, but he is carving out a divine status for himself. Now, when the Congress party, under the leadership of Rahul Gandhi, has taken up the idea of caste census
Yeah.
and removing 50% Supreme Court cap further reservation, and then constantly talking about the danger to the constitution that Ambedkar has written,
Hmm.
has more and more been irritating the BJP leaders. Now, what is the history of relationship of Congress and Ambedkar? And what is the history of relationship of BJP or Janasangh earlier or RSS Hindu Mahasabha earlier? Now there are two important significant stages of Ambedkar that have changed the liberation course of the Dalits, Adivasis, even all Shudras who were slaves in the Rigvedic period, in the Ramayana Mahabharat period, and the entire period of Manudharma, hegemonic laws, implementation, and Kautilya state. Now, two important things that Ambedkar could do. One, Ambedkar became the chairman of the drafting committee of the constitution
Hmm.
as a member of Constituent Assembly because of his legal stature, because of his scholarship, and because Gandhi and Nehru accepted him as an unchallenging legal pundit. Therefore, he got the opportunity to write the present constitution for a very complicated, multi religious, huge caste system problem, and a country surrounded by all dictatorships around. Now, the second major step that he could took because of the then Congress government and also Nehru's understanding of pluralism and so on
Hmm.
was his conversion to Buddhism in 1956 with
Yes.
almost 40 lakh people at one public meeting.
Hmm. Hmm.
And in that meeting, he took vows that go entirely against the RSS BJP spiritual
And
agenda.
that is my question. That is why I'm curious. Why is the BJP now, trying to appropriate Baba Saheb's legacy as somebody who relinquished Hinduism? How does it serve the Hindutva agenda? Because from what you tell me, obviously, if you look at history, it was something. And here is a man who actually gave up Hinduism, and it does not suit or does not align with the current policies of the BJP at all to make him a mascot for them. Yet the BJP is going hammer and tongs at this point of
Yeah,
time. So there is
the
a
reason was
political
this. The reason
cause
was
behind.
this.
Yeah. Hmm.
During Mandal time in 1990, I was one of the persons from backward class fighting the Mandal agitation issues at that time. We were for Mandal.
Yeah.
BJP, Congress, Rajiv Gandhi, all of them were opposed to it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And subsequently, the Mandal movement defeated the anti reservation agenda of both the ruling forces. And Arun Shauri kind of intellectuals hated the presence of Ambedkar's banners, posters in the streets and in the universities. And he wrote a book called These People Are Worshipping False God called Ambedkar. He has not written the constitution. But in the post Mandal era, till 1990, when BJP came to power with huge number of alliance parties and could rule for 5 years, they did not realize that Ambedkar was so seriously deepening in spiritual realm, social realm, political realm. He was becoming God to millions of Dalits. So they thought that they will win 2004 election, but they did
Are
not.
you saying, Mr. Kancha Ilaiah, it's a political compulsion for the BJP today to embrace Ambedkar? There is no choice because the political survival of the party depends largely on this vote bank, which we have seen in the last few elections have served them well, have held them in good stead. Held them in good stead. It has slipped away from the Congress, which used to be a
Yeah,
steady
see,
Congress vote bank.
it
Is it
is
a
a
political
political
compulsion for the BJP?
you are right. It is a political compulsion in a situation of, on the one side, there was Muslim minority, some sort of a homogeneous vote. Then the
Hmm.
Dalit vote was also was with the Congress. Adivasis by and large were Congress. The Shudra OBCs were mostly with the regional parties.
Yeah.
And having seen this carefully, in 2013, BJP had to bring in Narendra Modi with an OBC certificate
Yeah.
and tell the OBCs that we are for you, you vote for us. We are for reservation. We don't oppose
Yeah.
reservation. And they went on telling Narendra Modi himself took a big yatra in Gujarat on elephant with both Constitution and Ambedkar in his two hands.
Hmm.
This was the first time a BJP chief minister could do. At that time, in defiance of RSS, headquarters, he did that because he
Yeah.
wanted to carve out a space. Then in 2013 campaign, he said, "I am for OBCs and lower OBCs."
Hmm. Hmm.
So UP, Bihar, North India, they got convinced that Congress was not giving us that kind of a power position. Here is BJP, which gave a prime ministerial place to an OBC. So they came to power on their own. Now, this, if you look back to BJP politics, never in any public debate, any public forum or any public procession, you find Ambedkar photo in their banners,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Yet
But
today, the
Narendra
Prime Minister
Modi,
says that if it was not for Baba Saheb Ambedkar, he would not have been in office. Today, the BJP says that if there was any party that respected the economics, the politics, the ideology of B.R. Ambedkar, it is the BJP, it's not the Congress.
no,
Mr.
no, no, no,
Ambedkar was
no.
forced to
What they are
resign
saying,
from the Nehru cabinet and they were
you
opposed to the
know,
reservation policy. How would you
yeah,
respond to that?
they are giving only one example
Hmm.
how Congress neglected Ambedkar. That is the Bharat Ratna issue.
Yes.
They repeatedly say that Congress gave Nehru Bharat Ratna when he was Prime Minister, Indira Gandhi Bharat Ratna, and Rajaji and others. It never gave Bharat Ratna to Ambedkar.
Hmm.
And when we supported, quite interestingly, it is
Hmm.
not BJP government which gave him Bharat Ratna,
Yeah.
which the VP Singh government, with an ideological framework of pushing social justice. Mulayam Singh, Lalu Prasad, Sharat Yadav, all these people were forcing him to do this. And implementation of Mandal, giving him Bharat Ratna, and putting his portrait in the parliament. Along with him, VP Singh government also gave Nelson Mandela Bharat Ratna. It is not BJP. But my
Hmm.
question is, now Ambedkar's stature has grown so much.
Hmm.
At one time, Congress thought of giving Bharat Ratna to Gandhi.
Hmm.
When the Congress ideological people said, no, Gandhi and God cannot be given Bharat Ratna.
Hmm.
Now, Ambedkar, if you see his stature, his statues, his books, references, quotations in courts, he has grown far higher than Gandhi. So it is not Bharat Ratna that is important. Now
Hmm.
what happened is the same Congress which gave him those two important milestone turning issues, Rahul Gandhi, as a scion of the same Nehru Indira Gandhi family, who were said to have neglected Ambedkar, took to his agenda caste census and expansion of reservation. And he is talking that the entire bureaucratic structure in the central secretariat has to change.
Yeah.
This
I'll
has
come to the
irritated them.
yeah. I want to come to
Irritated-
the electoral dividend part of it because see the proof of the pudding is in the eating and the community itself has not really been swayed by this rhetoric. And if you look at the voting pattern again, why is it? If it is really the case that the BJP has not respected the Ambedkar legacy or what is doing their lip service, why is it that the community is supporting the BJP now over the Congress? That's a question I want you to address because to what extent is the deification of Ambedkar important for the community? Does it really matter to the marginalized communities, his stature? how he is respected or not respected by one side or the other. But first, let me play out some statements of both the parties. First, the BJP G. Kishan Reddy
शेमलेस वो बात कर रहे
speaking about this issue,
अग्रेशन
and
होने
then
के
I'll
बाद
play out the
डॉक्टर्स
Congress
टीम
side as
मिलकर
well.
निर्णय लेंगे, रूम को शिफ्ट करना है, ऐसा अभी बताया। अभी इंसेंटिव के आईसीसीयू में है, क्योंकि बहुत वीक रहते हैं प्रताप सारंगी जी। आज भी एमपी रहने के बाद साइकिलों पे घूमकर जनता का सेवा करते हैं। ऐसा व्यक्ति के ऊपर हमला करना बिल्कुल गलत है। एक अपोजिशन पार्टी लीडर ऑफ दी लोकसभा के नाते ऐसी दादागिरी करना, गुंडागर्दी करना अभी तक पहला नहीं हुआ है। शेमलेस वो बात कर रहे। अगर राहुल गांधी इस जो साथी सांसदों के ऊपर जो हमला किया है, इसी विषय पर सारी देश के लिए क्षमा मांगना चाहिए।
सर, कांग्रेस का कहना है कि ये जो एफआईआर किया गया है ये राहुल जी के अगेंस्ट नहीं है, ये BR अम्बेडकर के अगेंस्ट है।
बिल्कुल, डॉक्टर अंबेडकर के बारे में कांग्रेस पार्टी का सर्टिफिकेट हमें जरूरत नहीं है। कांग्रेस पार्टी जिंदगी भर डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर जिंदगी भर कदम कदम पर अपमान किया है, कदम कदम पर उनको हर इलेक्शन में हराया है, कदम कदम पर उनको रोका है, कदम कदम पर उनको अलग अलग तरीके से उनको आगे बढ़ने नहीं दिया है। इसीलिए डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर का जिंदगी भर अपमान किया। वो देहांत होने के बाद भी उनको कोई रिकॉग्निशन नहीं दिया है। जब अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी मिनिस्टर बनने के बाद एनडीए के नेतृत्व में जो आज पार्लियामेंट में उनका जो फोटो लगाना, डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर जी को भारत रत्न देना, नरेंद्र मोदी जी प्रधानमंत्री बनने के बाद उनका जन्मस्थान से लेकर अंतिम संस्कार तक हर अलग जगह पंचतीर्थ के नाम पर विकास करना, यह भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने किया है।
So there is that claim now that
अब
we are the
भारत के
ones who
लोगों
have
में
actually
समा चुका
honored his
है,
legacy. Let's listen to the Congress side
उसको
as
वो
well.
मिटा नहीं सकते। और ये 12 सेकंड उन पर आने वाले दिनों में बहुत भारी पड़ने वाली है। तो बाकी सब चीजें आदरणीय प्रमोद तिवारी जी ने इस वक्त कही है। अगर मैं संक्षेप में कहूं कि लोकसभा चुनाव इस लोकसभा पार्लियामेंट के प्रारंभ में बहुत सकारात्मक भूमिका से कांग्रेस पार्टी आगे बढ़ी थी कि शीतकालीन सदन के अंदर सारे विषयों पर बातचीत हो। ये बातें हमने बार बार फ्लोर लीडर्स की मीटिंग में की। और मैं तो धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगा आदरणीय खड़गे जी का, आदरणीय राहुल गांधी जी का, कि दोनों ने चिट्ठी के द्वारा दरखास्त की कि लोकसभा और राज्यसभा में 2 दिन की चर्चा हो। इन दोनों नेताओं की दरखास्त के बाद ही संविधान पर 2 दिन की चर्चा हुई।
So you see, Mr. Ilaiah, the issue here is that Gogoi here is saying कि 12 second बहुत भारी पड़ेगा. So Congress has suddenly found, sort of ammunition to fire, and they are not letting go of it. They're latching on to that comment. But my question to you, as I was putting it earlier, is to the community at large, does it matter? Does it affect voting preferences? We didn't see that happen in the recent elections, if you look at it.
Well, if you carefully look at Amit Shah's statement is not about the political stature of Ambedkar. He said that Ambedkar बोलते हैं, अगर भगवान का नाम लेते हैं तुम हेवन में 7 जन्म तक रहने का हेवन में जगह मिल। ये they cannot engage with Ambedkar's spiritual status. Their internal ideological framework is that Jai Bhim slogan is spreading so fast into even OBCs because they think that OBCs, Dalits, Adivasis, even EWS forces began to realize that this whole reservation philosophy comes from Ambedkar. So we have to respect him. And then in millions of houses, he has become God. So the other agenda of BJP is not like Congress, just political party. It is a spiritual organization. There is RSS behind. There is Vishwa Hindu Parishad. And this whole slogan, even within their own party, Dalits or Adivasis who were influenced seriously with Ambedkar, if they say Jai Bhim, they cannot accept it. I'll give you one example. Recently, one of the central state ministers' cadre officials, Dalit official, visited a Dalit friend's house. The moment he entered the house, the children in the house, 3 years old, 4 years, 5 years, there were 3, 4 children, I believe, they ran to him and said, Jai Bhim. And this Dalit official said, no, 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 don't say Jai Bhim, Jai Sri Ram. So the whole family, which was worshipping Ambedkar as their god, got shocked. And they were telling me that we did not even want to see him off after that, So there are two different worlds for us. Now, where does this come from? Amit Shah's statement is to spiritually despiritualize Ambedkar and bring him into ordinary leader stature. Right? Now, that is what.
That isn't that a matter of interpretation? Because frankly, when I heard it, I felt that what Mr. Amit Shah is trying to say is that you are simply chanting his name as lip service. You don't really mean it. आप इसको एक स्लोगन आपने बना लिया है और वो मजाकिया उसमें इन लाइटर वे ही प्रोबेबली एडेड तो इतने नाम तो भगवान के लेते तो आप जन्नत पहुंच जाते समथिंग लाइक दैट बट आई एम सेइंग दैट the first part of what he said, that you are constantly taking his name without walking the talk, without really meaning it. Isn't that's the meaning? That's why I'm saying, isn't this a matter of interpretation? You're saying that there is an attempt to de-glorify, de-spiritualize Ambedkar, knowing the kind of position he holds in the community. But
no. It is not that simple.
You interpret it differently as well.
If you look at Amit Shah's history and growth, it is not Narendra Modi who negotiates between RSS and BJP. It is Amit Shah who negotiates between that ideology and this ideology. So the question therefore is, he put out the internal spiritual ideological framework of RSS BJP within the parliament out. And that putting out, within the parliament out, has sparked the whole protests across the country. Not today, not just the Congress, not just regional opposition parties, but the whole Dalit, Shudra, OBC masses are really upset because they have come to realize that this Ambedkar is growing beyond a point, and particularly after Rahul Gandhi, no leader in the country ever could do that. He took both Manudharma Shastra copy and constitution into the parliament, and he had shown them that this is your book, and this is what Golwalkar said about this constitution. This is what Savarkar said about this constitution. So your entire spiritual system is against this constitution. And your entire ideological, historical, evolutionary position is against human equality. And therefore, now they did not expect this from Nehru family person. Now, today, Rahul Gandhi wears a blue t-shirt. This is blue. This is Ambedkar's. And today, Priyanka Gandhi, along with Ken Mosey in the procession, fully wearing blue sari, blue jacket, holding
Mr. Kancha
Ambedkar.
Ilaiah, will it be consequential to the community? Will it benefit? Because, see, ultimately, when it comes to being marginalized, when it comes to being discriminated, the Dalit, the OBC, the SC/ST communities still go through the scourge of caste system. How much of it? Because, if both sides want to be the messiah for the marginalized communities, will it help them, any of this, or will it remain just political rhetoric? That's my
Well,
concluding question.
you know, Buddha's image did not bring much votes. Jesus' image also, even if in America, if you take his image, does not bring votes. Prophet Muhammad's image does not bring votes. The question is, they are not afraid of today's vote power. Today they got vote. But after Congress taking over Ambedkar in this manner, deepening of his spiritual agenda, social agenda, economic agenda, the entire country's edifice that which BJP RSS wanted to keep intact with the, do you know how BJP RSS, including Narendra Modi, are speaking contradictory themes? Today they are saying, we are for Ambedkar. Before the election, in the context of Udayanidhi Stalin, and thereafter, what were they saying? We believe in Sanatan Dharma. Right? What does
Yeah.
Sanatan Dharma mean? Sanatan Dharma means we may give some reservation today. A Shudra has to be a Shudra. A Dalit has to be a Dalit. And an Adivasi has to be an Adivasi. And they opened Ram Mandir. Modi himself
So there are a
has
lot of
gone.
contradictions within, and perhaps if you really question the way you are questioning, all of this will then have to be explained by the ruling party. You can't be both. Like you said, you can't be saying that you believe in Sanatan Dharma and then you embrace Ambedkar, because I believe Dr. Ambedkar was completely against majoritarianism and he left Hinduism as well. So how does it suit the BJP to glorify someone like that? But in the end of it, like I said, the idea is to have all of this lead to some positive outcome for the community, and it should not be mere rhetoric. The caste system has not served the marginalized communities well, and the likes of you has written extensively about the plight of the Dalit minorities. We'll have to leave it at that. Anything in conclusion, Mr. Kancha Ilaiah, that you want to add?
No, you are right. But the question is, in history, Gandhi did not win election, but Gandhi remained much bigger than prime ministers.
True.
Right? Ambedkar did not become prime minister, but today what he is among the forces is a god.
Yeah.
And BJP RSS want him to erase that, remove that spiritualized image and stature of Ambedkar and continue with the traditional Varna Dharma Hindu order while offering certain seats, and they are offering seats to OBCs, mobilizing money from monopoly capitalists and giving them, and little bit of capital that is there with Congress, they are blocking in the courts itself. So naturally, they reduce the whole election to money now and control the whole mechanism now. Therefore, it is not winning. But if
Okay.
only Congress, Rahul Gandhi was, see, I am never a congressman, nor I was vice chancellor appointed by them in any central university. I never had any such power relationship with Congress. But if Rahul Gandhi was not to fight this battle with constitution in hand, owning Ambedkar, and then reservation issue, if they were to get 400 seats, this constitution would have been tossed off. It is
All right.
stalled.
There are many who have contested that view of yours. I've heard you said this before, but we leave it at that for now. Yes, this issue continues to rock Parliament. We'll track all developments closely. For now, Mr. Kancha Ilaiah, thank you for joining us here on Free Press
Thank you
Journal.
very much for having me on this your show.
Our pleasure. And with that, let me also now play out some of the sound bites, some of the statements that have come from the top leaders. This is what Rahul Gandhi had to
अदानी का
say
जो मामला है
about the
इसकी
entire
कोई चर्चा
drama
ना हो,
that
इसका
happened
कोई
in
डिस्कशन
Parliament. And
पार्लियामेंट
of
से
course,
कुछ
he
दिन
refers to
पहले
the fact that these are
हुई।
diversionary tactics and real issues do not
पार्लियामेंट
get
से कुछ दिन
discussed.
पहले अदानी जी का वो यूएस में केस आया और पूरे टाइम बीजेपी ने उस पर डिस्कशन रोकने की कोशिश की और बीजेपी की बेसिक स्ट्रैटेजी थी कि ये अदानी का जो मामला है इसकी कोई चर्चा ना हो, इसका कोई डिस्कशन ना हो, ये दब जाए। और शुरुआत में इन्होंने ये फुल टाइम इनका काम था, कभी कुछ डिस्ट्रैक्शन करते हैं, कभी कुछ डिस्ट्रैक्शन करते हैं। उसके बाद अमित शाह जी का बयान आता है और हम पहले से कह रहे हैं कि जो बीजेपी आरएसएस की सोच है एंटी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल सोच है, एंटी अंबेडकर जी की सोच है और जो अंबेडकर जी की मेमोरी है, जो उनका कंट्रीब्यूशन है, उसको ये लोग मिटाना चाहते हैं, खत्म करना चाहते हैं। और डायरेक्टली इनके मंत्री ने, होम मिनिस्टर ने डायरेक्टली सबके सामने जो उनका माइंडसेट है वो सबके सामने उन्होंने दिखा दिया। हमने कहा कि अपॉलॉजी होनी चाहिए और उनको रिजाइन करना चाहिए, नहीं किया। और आज फिर से इन्होंने एक नया डिस्ट्रैक्शन शुरू किया है। हम अंबेडकर जी की स्टैचू से सारे एमपी शांति से पार्लियामेंट हाउस जा रहे थे। पार्लियामेंट हाउस के सीढ़ियों पे बीजेपी के एमपी लकड़ियां लिए हमारे सामने खड़े होते हैं, हमें अंदर नहीं जाने देते हैं और उसके बाद अब ये थोड़ा सा अपना फिर से ये डिस्ट्रैक्शन करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। रियलिटी ये है, इन्होंने अंबेडकर जी का अपमान किया है, उसकी अपॉलॉजी होनी चाहिए और रिजाइन करना चाहिए होम मिनिस्टर को। और जो मेन मुद्दा है जिसको ये मिटाना चाह रहे हैं, घुमाना चाह रहे हैं, मेन मुद्दा है कि नरेंद्र मोदी जी के मित्र अदानी जी के खिलाफ यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में केस है, उनको वहां इंडाइट किया गया है और अदानी जी को नरेंद्र मोदी जी हिंदुस्तान बेच रहे हैं। ये मेन मुद्दा है और इसकी डिस्कशन ये लोग नहीं चाहते हैं।
Well, with that, let's also listen into this conversation that I had with Congress spokesperson Anshul Avijit, who also happens to be the grandson of Jagjeevan Ram, who was a Dalit icon of this country. And Avijit has written a lot about this particular issue of appropriation of the Ambedkar legacy and the recent controversy in Parliament as well. Here's Anshul
How deep the
Avijit
consciousness
speaking
of
to
caste
me earlier
is,
today.
and what its historical basis is, and how it continues in Indian modernity. The idea was to really understand what the real story is. It's not about political charges which flow back and forth. We are seeing that on television every day. This particular community should do with who they worship and who their icons may be. That is exactly what has gone throughout history. That is boiling over. As there is some level of empowerment, then kind of limits are breached, and then others feel threatened. Their ideas of divinity is challenged, which is really the core of this debate again.
Well, joining me now to talk about the current tussle over the legacy of B.R. Ambedkar is Anshul Avijit, who is a spokesperson of the Congress party, also someone who has written extensively about this issue, about the legacy of B.R. Ambedkar, and about the current controversy as well. Anshul, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on Free Press Journal.
A great pleasure to be here, Afrida.
So, Anshul, you are watching all of this happening right now in Parliament, right? This tussle between the BJP and the Congress. Some would say this is looking more like a, competitive loyalty towards B.R. Ambedkar. It's taken such an ugly turn with even physical scuffles now happening. How are you reading these developments? Is it really an attempt to show who is more loyal to Ambedkar, or there is larger politics behind it?
No, I think, Frida, discussions on caste always take an ugly turn, and we've seen that throughout. Even when the issue of caste census was broached, there were all
Yeah.
kinds of accusations and defense. I think no discussion about caste, is one where it's smooth and there is a consensus, because it's so deeply embedded in our consciousness. It pervades our society to such an extent. And that is why I always think that such discussions are always a case in point. They go beyond the personalities and they go beyond even the remarks. The remarks suggest how deep the consciousness of caste is, and what its historical basis is, and how it continues in Indian modernity. We try and resist it. We thought we'd done away with it with the introduction of democracy, of the constitution, of the vows we'd taken at the time of independence. That, listen, we're fighting two battles. One is against colonialism, so there was decolonization, but the other one, the graver one, was social injustice. That we haven't fulfilled yet. So that battle rages on, and any reference to that battle draws, I think, sharp fault lines. There are people who mock, there are people who demean, there are people who patronize, even without realizing it. And I think that this debate, this tussle which is going on, reflects really what is going on in India. That's really the big question. What you do with caste, you haven't done away with the caste system. Discrimination
Yeah.
still persists. What are you going to do with it?
Anshul, you're saying in one of your articles, and I think I've just taken a bit of it, where you're saying comments like this and referring to Amit Shah's comment where he says, if the Congress party is repeatedly taking Ambedkar's name, if that many times they would have taken God's name, they would have reached heaven. I mean, loosely translated. But, you are saying that these comments will deprivilege chosen icons and it will dehistoricize their loyalist. Why do you say that? How do you explain that?
No, so the idea was to really understand what the real story is. It's not about political charges which flow back and forth. We are seeing that on television every day. I think history is witness to the fact that how much what party or what government in power has done for the cause of social justice, what laws have been enacted. And we'll go into that in a minute. But I think the
Yeah.
deeper question is that of discrimination, which is there, in which even unwittingly there are remarks that are passed that are deeply offensive and discriminatory, even
But why
without
is it?
people
I mean,
knowing
it's
it.
the idea of, say, glorifying or defying B.R. Ambedkar. Do you think that if Mr. Amit Shah has said that that is not desirable, is that offensive to the community at large?
No, you have a Dalit
Equating B.R.
pamphlet.
Ambedkar to a god is something that Amit Shah has said should not be done. Is that your interpretation?
No,
That
who is
he's not
anyone
a
else to
god?
tell? No, this is exactly what we are fighting against and what this caste battle is against. Who is anyone to tell what this particular community should do with who they worship and who their icons may be? That is exactly what has gone throughout history. So with the denial
Okay.
of temple entry, with the denial of worshipping gods which were universal, which every community thought was their own. You don't even have the right to worship whom you think they're their own. Even that results in castigation and snide remarks and mockery. I mean, that is exactly the root of the problem, right? That
Okay.
others should determine who you're going to worship, what you should eat, what you should wear, how you're going to behave, that all responses should be in a particular way. That is what the historical legacy of India has been, and that is what the terrible legacy, curse, I would say, of Indian modernity is. That kind of thinking still pervades. So people say remarks. I won't go into the nature of these remarks because we will talk about the nature of divinity and how it exists. But people even say remarks even without meaning it. There could be lapses, but I'm saying it's so deeply embedded in consciousness, a caste and discrimination
So
of
you're saying the
historical
mindset is
privileges.
exposed. Are you saying the
Yes,
mindset
it's
is
not
exposed?
exposed. It always was. This is another case in point, and it is in the forum. It is in the house. It is by a extremely senior person, the number two in the cabinet or in the government, and therefore that makes it even worse. And when you are espousing the cause of social justice, and when you let these comments slip through, we can understand what the kind of mindset that pervades this country, and that is really unfortunate. That's what I'm getting at. That's the real story, you know.
Right,
So we can
right.
trade charges back and forth, who did what didn't do. I have my entire list of things that we did or didn't do, or they must be having their own kind of accusations and recriminations or
Yeah.
whatever.
That's what both sides actually are quoting examples. And the other author, whose piece also appeared in one of the leading newspapers today, along with yours, says that the attempt is to selectively quote those instances where, of course, the BJP is saying that, the fact that B.R. Ambedkar was at loggerheads with Nehru on a number of occasions is not hidden to anyone. It's an open secret. And of course, the Congress party also cites instances where RSS burnt effigies of B.R. Ambedkar. So it's a process of selectively quoting these instances of insulting the memory of Baba Saheb.
No, so that debate can rage on, right? I'm more interested in the in the comments made and their particular connotations and how they slip through. I mean, there was obviously a kind of a reference to an imbalance of divinity about who you should worship, about control, about imprisonment. That's much more important. That's the real story. Icons are there. I mean, you can critique them. Nobody's infallible, one would think. But then for some others, their gods are infallible, right? Try
But the
impinging
party
or
you represent, Anshul, was opposed to many of Ambedkar's policies, was opposed to reservation. Are you not, going to also call that out? That today you're going all out to express your loyalty, but what about back in time when so
that's
many
a
of
yeah,
the
Afrida,
reservation
that's a
policy, for
gross
instance, was opposed tooth and nail?
uh, uh, really, Afrida, that is a gross misrepresentation of what the Congress party always stood for. Remember that reservations as a policy was enacted in the First Amendment to the Constitution. I mean, the Parliament, with Congress in its majority, actually brought that through. There is no question. My grandfather, Babu Jagjeevan Ram, fought tooth and nail for the idea of not just reservations, but the idea of social justice. He was always a part of the Congress, most of his life anyway. He was the one, and the Congress party with him backed promotions in reservations, right? Until there was an interjection by the Supreme Court much later. There were laws that were enacted, the untouchability laws. These were all done by the Congress party. Not just reservations for the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, but reservations for women in the Panchayati Raj was brought by the Congress party. I think history will bear witness to what the Congress has done. So there is no need to go into these justifications, because then it becomes some sort of a trading match, and the better spin doctor, just gets away with it for that moment. It doesn't matter. That's not the real story. I'm saying the Congress has done what it has done. It is in history will bear witness to what it has done, right? About reservations, about protection of the interests of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, about reservations for women, for instance, if you talk about that, about introducing reservations for OBCs, reservations for women in parliament as well. If you're talking about that broad scope of reservations and emancipation and gender equity, social justice and gender equity as well, they probably go hand in hand, right? About that,
Yeah.
history will bear witness to it. You can keep trading
But
charges.
today, Anshul, let's be fair about this. Let's call a spade a spade. Today, the tussle, the focus is actually not about appropriating Baba Saheb's legacy. It's about appropriating the Dalit vote, which has become crucial for both sides, isn't it? It's about the OBC and the Dalit vote. And that is, again, something which has become way too obvious, election after election, that here is sort of a vote bank which neither side wants to let go of, which is what the real fight is about. How would you respond to that observation?
No, the real fight is in a democracy, the real fight is always to win the trust of the electorate, whichever community they come from. I mean, that is the duty of the people in power or those aspirants, to go and convince them, listen to us. We've got the policies. We will protect your interests. We will further your interests. That is a part of democracy. That's how the democratic process always works. I mean, to say that, I mean, I know that, vote bank seems like a very hardened sort of instrumentalist word. It's not one I would like to use. But earning the trust of the electorate is certainly what every party should do. It has to do it. Otherwise, it will not gain power and it will not be able to protect their interests. Whether it ultimately does what it does in the end is another matter altogether. But the wheel of democracy always works on the fact that you have to reach out, you have to convince people and say, trust in us. So I don't find anything wrong in any party does it. That is a level playing field, right? Of course, the manner in which you do it and all may be arguably different. You may pull down governments, you may do all kinds of other things. There may be sort of interruptions in the processes. That's another point altogether. But the basic foundation of democracy is going to the electorate and seeking their vote. I don't see any harm in doing that. In fact, democracy itself as a project will fail if that doesn't happen.
I mean, yeah, of course. My question was more about invoking Baba Saheb's legacy selectively and then, trying to serve political ends. And you're saying that, okay, if that is the nature of politics, and if there is a debate over the one community and their welfare, and that is always welcome. If both parties are interested in uplifting the marginalized and the minority, the Dalit community being one of them, that is also welcome. But my question to you again is about what we see right now happening. And as a neutral observer, it almost seems like if both sides actually support Ambedkar's policies, want to hail his brand of politics, what is the fight really all about? That it has led to this sort of an physical tussle, a scuffle in parliament, and protest versus protest. How are you interpreting this? What is the main bone of contention as of now in parliament between the BJP and the Congress, between the opposition and the Treasury bench?
So then we come down to the foundations of Indian society. I mean, I'm glad you asked this question. The real fight is about social justice. Who are the icons of social justice? What did they stand for? And who supports them and who honors them, right? Who demeans them, who mocks them, who patronizes them, and who honors them. That is the real story here. And and if you don't do that, if you don't respect the icons of the community, which are their earned icons, and these are actually historical figures, right? Whether it's my grandfather or Ambedkar or even Guru Ravidas or the legions of people who consider their own, there are historical figures who've earned their place in the Dalit pantheon, right? They've earned their pedestal there. I mean, if you demean them, right? If you mock them, unwittingly or directly or implicitly, it doesn't matter, because they all betray certain things. If it's a direct thing, you know that you're openly casteist. If it's implicit, you know that there is a kind of a caste consciousness which is pervading the society, which is unable, and this Indian modernity is unable to shrug it off. So it's a false modernity anyway, right? So that is the real question. It's not about, you can interpret it in political ways. There is a politics, but I am trying to understand the real story. Because the future will not be, sorted. The questions will always remain if these questions remain. Tomorrow, these tussles might die down. There might be some kind of truce. Something may continue. We'll continue with all this. But the real story and the real questions will remain unanswered. That is the caste system, its legacy, and the kind of consciousness that breeds discrimination. That is what the story is all about. And that is what I'm interested in answering. And I'm horrified and quite alarmed at the nature of discrimination that exists all over. I mean, I see it even before my eyes. Forget about the political, people make comments. I see it all around me. When people let comments sit through, which betray a deep
But if
seated
Congress is
racism,
the
and they're
party
even
who
unaware
can
of it.
change that, why is it that you've not been able to retain that political support of the Dalit and the OBC community? It is slipping away. It is depleting. The support that the Congress party had from the Dalit community over the years, it was the biggest supporter. The community always voted for the Congress for very many years. But why did it then slip? Why did it deplete? If you are saying that there is always an attempt to protect, to uplift the community itself is not electorally displayed that loyalty towards Congress.
No, sure. So again, you want to narrow it down to politics? Yeah, sure. I mean, there might be disenchantment with every community over people who they previously voted with. Every party has got to go into the reasons for that disenchantment. or they're shifting. It may not even be a disenchantment. It may be some sort of, I don't know, some organic shift. The reasons the party will have to introspect and find that out. That doesn't, that doesn't mean you forsake your cause, the essential cause of social justice, because somehow the electorate has become and started working. Then you urge the other party whom it's bestowed its trust on to work even more actively in protecting their interests. The responsibility of the opposition to ensure that increases all the more so, right? So this is not a question of yeah, we are talking about brute politics. We are talking about electoral politics, and I know I don't necessarily ever. While this is very relevant questions, I never necessarily want to reduce the Dalit question and the question of social discrimination and social justice to about instrumentalist politics. I mean, that's just a narrow view. We can't ever see 100 years ahead. I mean, we made a pledge during independence, right? That we will have a society which is free of discrimination. We made those laws. We had reservations. We had, the Anti-Untouchability Act. We made the Atrocities Act. There were a series of engagements, right? There were a series of policies. Where are those policies now? So then I will now talk about if there's that engaging in a political discussion, then we'd like to hit back and talk about how the mere reference to caste discrimination is being obliterated from NCRT course books. So the argument that we've always held so long about this government, about them being anti-reservation, whatever their defense is that if you remove Dalit writers from the course of Delhi University, if you obliterate caste discrimination references in NCRT, you feel that there is no discrimination in ancient India at all. That India does not have a caste issue at all. That there was always social equity, and if there is always social equity, then what is the need for reservations? There is an argument that you see that persists throughout the other side of the ideological divide regarding the question of social justice. That's what I'm really interested in. But far more than that, fine, that these are political questions, expunge history books, rewrite history. These are questions that must be encountered. We do them politically every day on TV debates. We bring the government to task and challenge these questions. My other questions, and this is perhaps where my academic interest or other deeper questions about belonging to the particular lineage comes in. What do we do about caste? How do we make it go away? How do we stop discrimination? How do we lessen this kind of consciousness that breeds discrimination and inequity and injustice, and then also leads to atrocities or apathy at best? How do we do away with that? Whoever is to blame, that remains a central question.
Right. I was, in conclusion, I just wanted to quote what the grandson of B.R. Ambedkar, Mr. Prakash Ambedkar, says, that it's actually neither side is really interested in addressing what you just mentioned, doing away with the scourge of caste system. It suits their politics to keep it alive, to keep that pot boiling. So if you are saying that, the ultimate cause, the ultimate, motive should be to address the discrimination, to address the injustices, what is the way forward according to you? What do you expect from the ruling party today that will convince you that they would work towards that end?
The pot is boiling because caste system still exists and discrimination is still rampant. I mean, you can hardly expect, and it should actually happen more often. I'm not talking about references like this, but discussions on caste, right? And how to do away with that system. But the pot is boiling because the caste system still exists, because that is boiling over. As there is some level of empowerment, then kind of limits are breached, and then others feel threatened. Their ideas of divinity is challenged, which is really the core of this debate again. So, I would think that these references are unfortunate, but what they've done is, again, highlighted what we want to do all the time. The central issue of caste in our society, its pervasive and sinister influence, and how we can think of a plan to get rid of it. I mean, free the people of this kind of mindset that still pervades our society, and which is consciously or unconsciously sort of manifest time and again all over the place, in streets, in workplaces, and in the parliament itself. The parliament is not it's a mirror of society. It doesn't drop from Mars or somewhere. So it's obviously going to reflect what the society thinks and does. I hope that the debates will continue. I hope the remarks will become less and less, and I hope discrimination goes away, so we can put an end to this and actually embrace Indian modernity in the truest, purest possible sense that once we made a pledge for.
Let's hope that, the things that you are hoping for, I would like to express that should be the intent for both sides, whoever is in power at the state level or at the central level. The scourge, like you put it, of caste system, of discrimination must be put an end to. Anshul Avijit, thank you so much for joining me here on Free Press Journal.
Pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you.
इशू शुरुआत हुई पार्लियामेंट से कुछ दिन पहले अदानी जी का वो यूएस में केस आया और पूरे टाइम बीजेपी ने उस पर डिस्कशन रोकने की कोशिश की और बीजेपी की बेसिक स्ट्रैटेजी थी कि ये अदानी का जो मामला है इसकी कोई चर्चा ना हो, इसका कोई डिस्कशन ना हो, ये दब जाए। और शुरुआत में इन्होंने ये फुल टाइम इनका काम था, कभी कुछ डिस्ट्रैक्शन करते हैं, कभी कुछ डिस्ट्रैक्शन करते हैं। उसके बाद अमित शाह जी का बयान आता है और हम पहले से कह रहे हैं कि जो बीजेपी आरएसएस की सोच है एंटी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल सोच है, एंटी अंबेडकर जी की सोच है और जो अंबेडकर जी की मेमोरी है, जो उनका कंट्रीब्यूशन है, उसको ये लोग मिटाना चाहते हैं, खत्म करना चाहते हैं। और डायरेक्टली इनके मंत्री ने, होम मिनिस्टर ने डायरेक्टली सबके सामने जो उनका माइंडसेट है वो सबके सामने उन्होंने दिखा दिया। हमने कहा कि अपॉलॉजी होनी चाहिए और उनको रिजाइन करना चाहिए, नहीं किया। और आज फिर से इन्होंने एक नया डिस्ट्रैक्शन शुरू किया है। हम अंबेडकर जी की स्टैचू से सारे एमपी शांति से पार्लियामेंट हाउस जा रहे थे। पार्लियामेंट हाउस के सीढ़ियों पे बीजेपी के एमपी लकड़ियां लिए हमारे सामने खड़े होते हैं, हमें अंदर नहीं जाने देते हैं और उसके बाद अब ये थोड़ा सा अपना फिर से डिस्ट्रैक्शन करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। रियलिटी ये है, इन्होंने अंबेडकर जी का अपमान किया है, उसकी अपॉलॉजी होनी चाहिए और रिजाइन करना चाहिए होम मिनिस्टर को। और जो मेन मुद्दा है जिसको ये मिटाना चाह रहे हैं, घुमाना चाह रहे हैं, मेन मुद्दा है कि नरेंद्र मोदी जी के मित्र अदानी जी के खिलाफ यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में केस है, उनको वहां इंडाइट किया गया है और अदानी जी को नरेंद्र मोदी जी हिंदुस्तान बेच रहे हैं। यह मेन मुद्दा है और इसकी डिस्कशन ये लोग नहीं चाहते हैं। थैंक यू।
साथियों, शुक्रिया साथियों, शुक्रिया साथियों।
मेरे ऊपर गिर पड़ा और मैं नीचे गिर गया।
देखिए, हाँ किया है मगर ठीक है, कोई मतलब धक्का मुक्की से हमें कुछ होता नहीं है।
किसने धक्का मारा? राहुल गांधी ने।
हाँ, राहुल गांधी ने।
सांसद आरोप लगा रहे हैं।
नहीं, देखिए, मैं पता नहीं, आपके शांत हो जाए, आपके कैमरा में होगा।
राहुल गांधी एक एमपी को धक्का लगा, मेरे ऊपर गिर पड़ा और मैं नीचे गिर गया।
किसने धक्का मारा? राहुल गांधी ने।
हाँ, राहुल गांधी ने।
राहुल गांधी ने धक्का मारा?
राहुल गांधी।
कौन सी जगह पे सर? सर किस जगह पे? सर किस जगह पे?
सीढ़ी के ऊपर मैं खड़ा हुआ था और राहुल गांधी ने आकर के एक एमपी को धक्का लगाया, वो मेरे ऊपर गिर पड़ा और मैं।
कहाँ चोट लगी सर आपको? कहाँ चोट लगी सर? एक बार दिखा दीजिए। ओहो, ये तो बहुत
ठीक है, उनको जाने दो यार, जाने दो उनको।
सांसद आरोप लगा रहे हैं।
नहीं, देखिए, मैं पता नहीं, आपके शांत हो जाए, आपके कैमरा में होगा। ये पार्लियामेंट की एंट्रेंस है, इसमें मैं अंदर जाने की कोशिश कर रहा था, तो बीजेपी के एमपी जो थे वो मुझे ऐसे रोकने की कोशिश कर रहे थे, धकेल रहे थे और मुझे धमका रहे थे, तो वो हुआ है बस। नहीं, देखिए, हाँ किया है मगर ठीक है, कोई मतलब धक्का मुक्की से हमें कुछ होता नहीं है। मगर ये एंट्रेंस है पार्लियामेंट हाउस की और हमारा अधिकार है अंदर जाने का, और बीजेपी के जो मेंबर्स हैं वो हमें अंदर जाने से रोक रहे थे।
सेंट्रल इशू है जो आप लोग मांग कर रहे हैं अमित शाह के रेजिग्नेशन को लेकर।
नहीं, सेंट्रल इशू है कि ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पर आक्रमण कर रहे हैं और जो अंबेडकर जी की मेमोरी है उसका अपमान कर रहे हैं।
Very clear from the side of the government to divert the issue which has been happening in the parliament. When the Honorable Home Minister Amit Shah made a statement in the Rajya Sabha, it was very clear. It was to insult Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. And our issue is focused till date. We have not said withdraw Rahul Gandhi's case. Our slogan has not been digressed. Whatever Amit Shah has said has to be withdrawn or else he has to resign. This is our slogan. Yesterday's incident was very clear, as I said, to divert the attention of the House, of the proceedings. I was very clearly present at the moment when Rahul Gandhi was entering the parliament. There was no contact between the female MP. She was trying to block him, but I tried to move him away and take him inside. And there were few other MPs of the BJP who tried to block him. So the constitutional post holder, the leader of opposition, Rahul Gandhi, his way has been blocked. And there was a serious security lapse. Because whenever Magardwar is blocked, there is a way passage for MPs to get inside the parliament. In the past, we have done many protests, but no MP has ever complained that they couldn't get in. And there was a clear passage. And this was the entire incident was to make sure that the entire attention is diverted. So over this, I have given a complaint, and I am a clear eyewitness for the entire incident. And this is a fake complaint, blatant lie against the Honorable Opposition Leader.
उस 12 सेकंड को छुपाने की, वो 12 सेकंड अब भारत के लोगों में समा चुका है, उसको वो मिटा नहीं सकते। और ये 12 सेकंड उन पर आने वाले दिनों में बहुत भारी पड़ने वाली है। तो बाकी सब चीजें आदरणीय प्रमोद तिवारी जी ने इस वक्त कही है। अगर मैं संक्षेप में कहूं कि लोकसभा चुनाव इस लोकसभा पार्लियामेंट के प्रारंभ में बहुत सकारात्मक भूमिका से कांग्रेस पार्टी आगे बढ़ी थी कि शीतकालीन सदन के अंदर सारे विषयों पर बातचीत हो। ये बातें हमने बार बार फ्लोर लीडर्स की मीटिंग में की और मैं तो धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगा आदरणीय खड़गे जी का, आदरणीय राहुल गांधी जी का कि दोनों ने चिट्ठी के द्वारा दरखास्त की कि लोकसभा और राज्यसभा में 2 दिन की चर्चा हो। इन दोनों नेताओं की दरखास्त के बाद ही संविधान पर 2 दिन की चर्चा हुई, नहीं तो यह भी नहीं होती। और ये 2 दिन की चर्चा होने से ही हमको पता चल गया कि भाजपा में अमित शाह जी के अंदर, आदरणीय नरेंद्र मोदी जी के अंदर बाबा साहब अंबेडकर के प्रति कितनी सम्मान है। जो असलियत है वो बाहर उभर कर निकल गई। अडानी के मामले से वह भागे। मणिपुर को लेकर प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने अपने 2 घंटे के भाषण में कुछ कहा नहीं। सेबी को लेकर आदरणीय निर्मला सीतारामन जी ने सेबी चीफ माधवी बुच को लेकर कुछ बातें की नहीं। और संविधान पर जब चर्चा हो रही थी तो उन्होंने अपनी मानसिकता दर्शाई। जैसे कि आदरणीय प्रमोद तिवारी जी ने कहा, एक फांसीवादी पूरे इस शीतकालीन समय में हमने भी कितने बार धरना प्रदर्शन किया है, लेकिन कभी भी अगर कोई भाजपा का सांसद आ रहा होगा तो उसके साथ कभी भी हमने अपमानजनक या आक्रामक व्यवहार हमारे तरफ से नहीं था। हमेशा मुस्कुराकर और सम्मान से हम उनका संबोधन करते थे। लेकिन कल जो हमने देखा, जो मैंने खुद देखा, प्रियंका गांधी जी के साथ संजना जाटव थी, वर्षा गायकवाड़ थी, सुरेश प्रतिभा दनोरकर थी, मल्लिकार्जुन खड़गे थी, वो विवश हुए कि उनको सीढ़ी सड़क पे बैठना पड़ा। तो सचमुच बहुत ही दुखद। और उसके ऊपर जो इंक्वायरी अब आज तक नहीं हो रही, सीसीटीवी कैमरा आज तक भी हमने नहीं देखा, तो कहीं ना कहीं जो छुपाना चाहते हैं वो हम पे पता चल रहा है। दोबारा मैं कहना चाहूंगा कि ये जितने भी ध्यान भड़काने की कोशिश करें वे 12 सेकंड भाजपा और अमित शाह जी पर बहुत भारी पड़ेंगे। हमारी बस यही जो मैं अंत में मांग यही है, जो हम वी आर ऑलवेज सेइंग दैट होम मिनिस्टर should resign, apologize for hurting the sentiments of so many Indians who hold Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar and the Indian Constitution in high regard. And it is unfortunate that the Prime Minister, instead of asking the Union Home Minister to resign, instead of asking the Union Home Minister to apologize, the Prime Minister is supporting
very clear from the side of the government to divert the issue which has been happening in the parliament. When the Honorable Home Minister Amit Shah made a statement in the Rajya Sabha, it was very clear. It was to insult Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. And our issue is focused till date. We have not said withdraw Rahul Gandhi's case. Our slogan has not been digressed. Whatever Amit Shah has said has to be withdrawn or else he has to resign. This is our slogan. Yesterday's incident was very clear, as I said, to divert the attention of the House, of the proceedings. I was very clearly present at the moment when Rahul Gandhi was entering the parliament. There was no contact between the female MP. She was trying to block him, but I tried to move him away and take him inside. And there were few other MPs of the BJP who tried to block him. So the constitutional post holder, the leader of opposition, Rahul Gandhi, his way has been blocked. And there was a serious security lapse. Because whenever Magardwar is blocked, there is a way passage for MPs to get inside the parliament. In the past, we have done many protests, but no MP has ever complained that they couldn't get in. And there was a clear passage. And this was the entire incident was to make sure that the entire attention is diverted. So over this, I have given a complaint, and I am a clear eyewitness for the entire incident. And this is a fake complaint, blatant lie against the honorable opposition leader.
आज भी ऑब्जर्वेशन है। ऑब्जर्वेशन होने के बाद डॉक्टर्स टीम मिलकर निर्णय लेंगे, रूम को शिफ्ट करना है, ऐसा अभी बताया। अभी इंसेंटिव के आईसीसीयू में है, क्योंकि बहुत वीक रहते हैं प्रताप सारंगी जी। आज भी एमपी रहने के बाद साइकिलों पे घूमकर जनता का सेवा करते हैं। ऐसा व्यक्ति के ऊपर हमला करना बिल्कुल गलत है। एक अपोजिशन पार्टी लीडर ऑफ दी लोकसभा के नाते ऐसी दादागिरी करना, गुंडागर्दी करना अभी तक पहला नहीं हुआ है। शेमलेस वो बात कर रहे। अगर राहुल गांधी इस जो साथी सांसदों के ऊपर जो हमला किया है, इसी विषय पर सारी देश के लिए क्षमा मांगना चाहिए।
सर, कांग्रेस का कहना है कि ये जो एफआईआर किया गया है ये राहुल जी के अगेंस्ट नहीं है, ये BR अम्बेडकर के अगेंस्ट है।
बिल्कुल, डॉक्टर अंबेडकर के बारे में कांग्रेस पार्टी का सर्टिफिकेट हमें जरूरत नहीं है। कांग्रेस पार्टी जिंदगी भर डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर जिंदगी भर कदम कदम पर अपमान किया है, कदम कदम पर उनको हर इलेक्शन में हराया है, कदम कदम पर उनको रोका है, कदम कदम पर उनको अलग अलग तरीके से उनको आगे बढ़ने नहीं दिया है। इसीलिए डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर का जिंदगी भर अपमान किया। वो देहांत होने के बाद भी उनको कोई रिकॉग्निशन नहीं दिया है। जब अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी मिनिस्टर बनने के बाद एनडीए के नेतृत्व में जो आज पार्लियामेंट में उनका जो फोटो लगाना, डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर जी को भारत रत्न देना, नरेंद्र मोदी जी प्रधानमंत्री बनने के बाद उनका जन्मस्थान से लेकर अंतिम संस्कार तक हर अलग जगह पंचतीर्थ के नाम पर विकास करना, यह भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने किया है। राहुल गांधी से कांग्रेस पार्टी से पूछना चाहता हूं, जिंदगी भर अपमान किया आप लोग, देहांत होने के बाद उनको नेग्लेक्ट किया आप लोगों को डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर के बारे में बात करने का कोई अधिकार नहीं है। डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर के जो अपमान किया है, वो जो पार्लियामेंट के सामने वो क्षमा मांगना चाहिए डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर को जो अपमान किया है।
सर, इंडिया ब्लॉक लगातार डिमांड कर रहा है कि अमित शाह जी को रिजाइन कर देना चाहिए।
अमित शाह जी कोई जानबूझकर कोई अपमान नहीं किया है। हम कमिटमेंट के साथ डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर जी का स्फूर्ति से जो उनका रास्ते में काम करने वाले पार्टी है, उनके रास्ते में देश के सेवा करने वाले पार्टी है।
और जिस प्रकार से वरिष्ठ सांसदों के साथ दुर्घटना घटी और जिसके लिए स्वयं श्री राहुल गांधी जी ही शुद्ध रूप से जिम्मेदार हैं, उनके खिलाफ मुकदमा लिखा गया, अच्छी बात है। उसकी जांच करके और उनके खिलाफ कार्रवाई भी होनी चाहिए। यह पूरा देश चाहता है। जो पीड़ित सांसदगण हैं वो तो चाहते ही होंगे, और इस प्रकार के आचरण की अपेक्षा नेता प्रतिपक्ष से नहीं की जा सकती है। लेकिन उस पद पर चूंकि श्री राहुल गांधी बैठे हुए हैं, इसलिए उनका आचरण ऐसा हुआ है जो घोर निंदनीय।